You're listening to Swimming World Radio. I'm your host, Brent Rutemeller, and today we have with us the youngest person to have ever been a head coach for their USA Olympic swim team. Stan Tinkham, at age 24, found himself leading the women's team to the 1956 Olympic Games in Melbourne, Australia. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's pick it up back in 1956 when you were an Army private coaching the Walter Reed Swim Club. Did you expect to find yourself at the USA home at such an early age?
Not in the slightest bit. I was in charge of a military team, and that was just about it. And the coach that was coaching prior to me decided to leave, and the commander of the post said, "You're the new swim coach." And that was good news. That was what I wanted to hear.
Well, it's one thing to be the coach of the Walter Reed Swim Club, but to be head coach for the USA Olympic team?
Well, at that point, the Walter Reed Club had a lot of big winners. Mary Jane Sears in the breaststroke, Shelley Mann in individual medley. We had 1, 2, 3 in the individual medley. I'm sorry, the team won 1, 2, 3. We had first and second with Mary Jane Sears and Shelley Mann. And it was breaststroke. And breaststroke, at that time, you could recover on or below the surface of the water or above the surface of the water. People in a 200 breaststroke, for instance, would probably swim the first 50 butterfly, then maybe 100 breaststroke, and then the last 2 lengths would be butterfly again. Simply butterfly was faster than breaststroke. And some people could go breaststroke the whole way, and butterfly the whole way. But it was sort of a challenge to know how much strength you had, and you knew you could gain more strength if you switched strokes from butterfly to breaststroke. And it went that way in the nationals, I think, a couple years or a couple seasons, perhaps. And then there was such a loud vocal cry that you can't swim butterfly in a breaststroke race, you can't swim breaststroke in a butterfly race, and so forth and so on, that they legislated it and made 4 strokes, butterback breastfree.
What memories do you recall about being at that Olympics in Melbourne?
You know, it was exciting, and there was an Olympic village which we stayed in, and the Olympic village was all athletes basically, and it was going to be turned over to a college after the team used it for a week, 10 days. There were social events every night in a little square, and it was really just a nice stay. Everybody was very pleasant.
When you look back at that period in 1956 and the fact that you served the armed forces, and then you also got to represent the country, what kind of pride do you have knowing that you were a head Olympic coach for the United States?
You know, it was hard for me to believe. I, at that time, was PFC, and I had just started swimming with the team for about a week, and the commandant of the post, he was a colonel, said, "You're the new coach." And it took me off the wards. I was carrying bedpans in the hospital and various other things as a private. And so they transferred me to the pool where I was full-time in guarding and so forth.
What when you look at the coaching fraternity, you look at your peers, what can you say about the coaching fraternity, or what kind of insights or common things that you see out there among great coaches?
You know, I think it's we have the American Coaches Association. I think it treated me very well, and it was exciting for me. I would say it's a great fraternity, and if you enjoy swimming and coaching, then go for it. Could hardly wait to get up in the morning because it was going to be a morning workout. It's so exciting.
Very good. Well, that's Coach Stan Tinkham, 1956 Olympic head coach for the women's team for the United States. And thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the year is 1956. Don Larson, pitching for the New York Yankees, throws the first perfect game in World Series history. Nikita Khrushchev, first secretary of the Communist Party, denounced the excesses of Joseph Stalin, and then Soviet troops invaded Hungary to put down the revolution against the puppet government. A young man by the name of Elvis Presley starred in his first movie, Love Me Tender. Pakistan became the first Islamic republic. In God We Trust was made the national motto of the USA. The DNA molecule was first photographed. Play-Doh was introduced to the world of children. Many of us were those children. And The Wizard of Oz enjoyed its first viewing on television. And in our world of swimming, Stan Tinkham became head Olympic coach of USA Swimming. Talk about boy wonders. From 1954 to 1958, his team, Walter Reed Army Hospital, dominated the U.S. senior nationals. He was 22 years of age when the strings started. At 24, he was the head coach of the USA Olympic team to Melbourne, Australia. His personal swimmer, Shelley Mann, won the first Olympic butterfly medal. Stan also led our 1963 Pan American team. He then came home, built the Northern Virginia Aquatic Club into a powerhouse, and continued a long and storied career in both coaching and leadership of our national swimming associations. Selected to the International Swimming Hall of Fame in 1989, please join me in welcoming head Olympic coach Stan Tinkham.
In 1956, the Olympic Games were held in Melbourne, Australia. I was appointed by the Women's Olympic Committee as the coach. What a thrill, the highest quality of swimming and the high energy and the excitement in the team and the meet. We assembled the team in Los Angeles, California, and worked out for several days. Some workouts were at the high school and some were at the Los Angeles Athletic Club with the courtesy of Peter Daland. We worked hard with much complaint, and the swimmers, I considered their complaints as compliments. I'm probably a little sadistic there. The Australians were strong in freestyle swimming and much publicized, although we swept the 100 butterfly, which was a new event and which we had been practicing really prior to it. We knew that it was going to be adopted, and so we were practicing the butterfly sometime there. We tied for first in the 100 back in the meet, and all 10 judges, they had 5 judges on each side and timers, called it a tie, and that sort of settled with me. We won the 3-stroke individual medley relay. What 3 strokes do you say? Breaststroke and butterfly. It was started out, of course, as breaststroke, and then somebody read the rules and said you can recover over the water. And as a result, the butterfly was something you could swim in a breaststroke event. As a matter of fact, you could switch back and forth from breaststroke to butterfly. And then butterfly evolved as a separate stroke. This report would not be complete without my mentioning the chaperone for the Olympic Games in 1956. It was V. Toner from Pittsburgh. She worked very hard with a couple of homesick swimmers and kept us straight as far as all of our supplies and everything else was concerned. She was a real jewel. Out of respect for V, the girls took all of her belongings and put them on the roof of a shed. And it was really interesting. They laid her toothbrush and everything right out on top of her dresser, and it was really done well. And all the personal items on top of the tool shed, as I said, the details of her dresser, and they all contributed to V. An American official team awakened her. He accused her of being drunk as she was on top of the on top of the thing. And her retort was, if I climbed up here, how could I have possibly been drunk? I was also a candidate for the American Pan Am Games in women's, and that was really a great process. We swam in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in 1963, an incident which was occurred. We worked out in the Olympic pool in the Olympic complex, and after practice, the girls wanted to walk through the Olympic complex. There was one complex, and there were various wings going off, including the football fields and that type of thing. And the girls, of course, were impetuous. They wanted their pictures taken beside the burning flame. So they got up on the burning flame, on the side of the burning flame, and had their pictures taken. The only problem was when half of them got off, the other half went down with the flame, and the flame rolled down the stadium. It just rolled down the stadium. It caught the seats on fire, and it was really a to-do. They were taking pictures of each other, as I mentioned. The stadium fire was, needless to say, I was embarrassed about it all. The officials came up, and they were really angry about it. I don't know why. But I volunteered to the team. I said, we've embarrassed ourselves, we've embarrassed you, we'll go home. And the officials admitted the fact that it wasn't built very well, wasn't nailed together, and they took the blame and apologized. The flame never went out, as the bleachers were on fire. And so the flame was preserved at that, and the flame lives on. In closing, I would like to quote Sir Winston Churchill in one of his speeches that he gave some time ago. And it won't be too long for you, at any rate. He said roughly a 7-word speech, and that speech was never, never, never give up. Thank you.